Hello, Aquarius. Thank you for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunn. There's how you spell his name in case you want to find other things this person has made. Supportive Oracle cards. Shocker Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen, and there's her last name. So if you want to find those creators, artists, you can find them. Excuse me. Aquarius. Aquarius. Okay, let's see how this is going to play out. Okay. There's a lot, there's a change in direction in some sense coming in here. So let's see where this is going to go. Because the whole second half is face down, which it's not going to be valid until it actually happens. It's kind of how that feels to me. So we'll see. We'll go as we read. Coming into this situation, you definitely have ideas of expansion and fixing things and doing things a certain way. You want to release blocks, but I'm also getting like you might not be seeing... When you first got involved, you might not have been seeing things exactly how they needed to be seen. Even though you had a lot of growth on your mind and you had a lot of expansion is what you were working for, you were working through some blocks, but I'm also getting like those blocks might come back to haunt you. Just the way that they were... Like, it's almost like, you know, when somebody tears down a dam and they're like, well, it wasn't being used anyway, and then a flood comes down and wipes out the town. Just like, oh, I didn't realize that's why that was there. Oops. Something like that. Like, the colors are making me feel very kind of like you're trying to make something actually happen here. You're trying to make a difference, but you're not... Like, when you're releasing some blocks and you're moving past some barriers, I don't think you're realizing what that's actually going to create down the road. I feel like there's going to be more problems. It's almost like forcing somebody to eat shellfish and they're allergic to it, but you're like, but you're hungry, right? Eat the shellfish. You're not realizing they're allergic to it. Something weird like that. Because when I'm getting the Five of Wands, it's like people are giving you pushback when you're pushing and trying to make growth happen. You're trying to break down these barriers and pushing things forward, but I'm getting people are resisting you. But I don't think you're realizing something. Like, it's almost like there's a lot of good and bad information at the same time, and it's hard to decide, like, well, this makes sense or that doesn't make sense, and it's all mingled all in together. So there's good information and bad information, and you're like, well, you know what? Instead of trying to sort all that out, let's just move that to the side, and we're going to keep going ahead, and we'll just fix it as we go. That's how it's starting. That's the energy we're starting with. What I'm also getting is, like, the balance comes in soon after, and I feel like you're having to deal with something. You're starting to see like some of these blocks that were taken down did have a different purpose, and you're like, oh, all right, wait a minute, we got to find a way to deal with this. We took down those walls thinking that dam was no longer needed, but now when the waters start rising again, we're having problems with flooding in the village. So maybe we have to re-erect those problems. I don't know. Let's look at it. This is the card you have on your side that I'm looking at, but I'm not showing you. It's the Two of Wands. Like you're having to look back at some decisions you made to remove blocks, and you're like, well, it looked like a good idea at the time, and there was so much craziness. Like, just to be fair, there was a lot of craziness going on here. So you made the best decision you could, and you're like, instead of wasting our time just sorting through every little piece, let's just move forward. And then after the fact, you're like, well, maybe we kind of did some things that weren't the best idea, but we did move forward, right? It's kind of like having that, you know, you have a little bit of humility on it is what I'm getting. Like, yeah, okay, maybe that wasn't the best idea, but at least I did something. At least somebody moved things forward. And it's, ironically, by you pushing it forward, it did cause things to start moving, and now people are kind of like trying to fix things. People also seem to be taking you a little bit more seriously now. On the upswing, I do feel like the fact that you push things forward, alright, maybe some blocks came down that shouldn't have, but people are taking you more seriously. And before you actually push things forward again and we have some more problems, people are like, no, they're making a better effort to explain things to you, or they're also making a better effort to fix things. Like, like making sure that things make sense and they're working together better. It seems to have a positive effect to a point here. So I feel like it's not all that bad. Ooh, these cards came up recently, and I don't remember who's reading, but one of them. Acceptance and discovery. The last time I saw these, they were both upside down, and now they're both right side up. I'm getting, like, people are realizing that you're in control here. You're in control, and I feel like that's what's happening. I feel like you're in control. Whoever this is, whatever you're deciding, because you removed some blocks, and when you decided to remove those blocks, you were in control of that. People are getting that. Like, you're the one making the decision. They're accepting that, and they're realizing that they really have to work with you on this. They do. If they want this to go well, they got to make sure they explain to you well, and they have to work with you and actually make an effort to make things better. If they work with you, you're good with that. You'll work with that as long as they're working towards something, as long as they're advancing towards something. Okay. So perception seems to be changing here, and you're dealing with it. You're like, all right, we can't just push things forward. We can't just knock down all these blocks. We have to like understand why certain blocks are in certain places, and then move forward accordingly. But we can't. I also see that you kind of looking at this like just because a couple of these blocks were valid doesn't mean all of them are. So I need more information to understand what really needs to be here and what really doesn't, or maybe what isn't as important. At the very least. So you got the Seven of Wands here, like you're working through it, you're trying to work with people. Perception on your side and the other side is very much changing. And all the rest of this is based on that. And why I'm saying that is because all this is face down. Like once you get to this common ground with whoever you're working with, whatever you're working with, it changes the whole situation. It's like you're both kind of like honoring each other, that you're both in this in your own way, and you got to work with each other to make this actually work out. Okay, good. It's not just like acknowledging it, but it's like actively working together, working with each other. Let's see where this is going. Okay, so, instinct pops out next. And right above it, your card, Faith. I'm trying to find a positive way for this, but I feel like people are really using this to try to put those blocks all back in motion, Like they're trying to put them all back in place, putting all the blocks back in place. They're trying to use this as much as possible to put things back the way they were. They were comfortable with that. All of those blocks do not need to be there, though. And I feel like you're trying to give this moment a chance. But people are trying to put those... Like, instinct is telling me they're used to things going a certain way. They do things this way. They've always done things this way. And it's like... They're trying to put those blocks back in place. And I'm getting the Queen of... Is it Wands? The Queen of Wands is like... There's some negotiation going on here. But I feel like it's having a hard time... Like, really moving forward again. Even though that's the Queen of Wands, I feel like that energy is being used to reconstitute what was already there. It's actively trying to put it back to what's instinctually known by this other side. Like, we're used to it that way. We're used to it being that way. And they're trying to put it back that way as much as they humanly can. You're trying to work with this energy. Because you're like, all right, yeah, I understand. There were some missteps there. This is the thing about humility. You're trying to do your best to be like, yeah, I made a misstep. Yeah, I'm owning that. It happened. But doesn't mean it was all wrong. You're trying to deal with this energy. You're trying to work with it. You're also trying to find a way, when I see prayer on your side, you're trying to find a way that this makes sense. In the sense of like, you're trying to work with this energy. You don't want to cause problems. You want to move again forward, and you need more information, and you kind of have to schmooze this energy a little bit, whoever this is, to try to get them to give you more information so you can make different decisions to keep it moving forward, to try to move forward again. And the more you're trying to do that, this is in the environment. I feel like people are just kind of like, they're treating you as if you're asking for something that's too much. They're treating you as if, you know, you want this and you want that, but that's not what they want. So they're just kind of like, you're asking too much, that's not a good idea. I feel like this is going to come to a standstill. Even though you're trying to give, and it looks like they're trying to give to you, it's give and take, I feel like it's going to hit this Two of Swords moment where it's just kind of like, it's going to seize again, and it's going to just kind of get stuck. This situation is not easy, is what I'm getting. It's very ironic to me where this other side is working with you more and trying to tell you things more. Yet the more they work with you, the more it just kind of locks the situation and it doesn't move forward. There's something else here that's missing, is what I'm getting. Like, the further you try to move forward, the less you can actually get. I feel like this is going to be a dead end. I feel like there's a reason these blocks are all where they are. I almost feel like they're saying, like, your efforts, you might be able to serve your efforts might be better served elsewhere. You might want to concentrate on something else for a while and give this situation a moment, because it's just not seeming to move forward. I feel like you tried. You moved things forward. They kind of came back and double backed on you. Things went right back to the way they were, is what I'm getting. And I feel like what they're saying is, like, you know, you might do better just concentrating on something else, because this situation, it just might not be the situation for you to fix. It's kind of killing me but that's what, you know what, that's actually valid. I get that, because like you have a lot of effort, you can put in a lot of time, you can try and try and try and try, but like it's kind of like, if you're going to try and try and try and try and put in a lot of effort towards something, you might as well put it towards something where you're going to have an effect. It feels like the more effort you put into this situation, it's just like you're putting so much effort into it, but it's not changing. It's going to end up with this Two of Swords, and it's going to lock. It's going to stop. It's going to seize. Like, there's no other way to see that card. And I feel like that's their heads up for you. They're like, before you talk yourself blue in the face or try to put so much effort into something trying to make things better, maybe see it for what it is before it gets too far. That way you can take the same amount of effort and actually apply it somewhere else and be happy with your result, rather than putting it here and being like, I've spent months, possibly years at some point, and I'm getting nowhere. So I feel like that's their heads up for you. Like, don't beat yourself blue in the face. Don't beat yourself blue in the face. Don't talk yourself blue in the face where it end up nowhere. I don't know. I'd like it to be better than that, but that's literally what they're saying. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, james4astral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.